Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It was certainly a very busy weekend of news, and we're going to go over a bunch of it today. Of course, the big news is that Donald Trump appears to be rapidly on his path to getting impeached a second time, and this will make Donald Trump the only president in history to be impeached 2 times. So we're going to talk about that, but the timing of it seems to be that the House may impeach as soon as Wednesday morning, scheduling a vote for Wednesday morning, and there will be debate tomorrow. We may cover the debate tomorrow, and then we may cover the vote on Wednesday morning. We will see. There is also concern about possible, once again, violence as the vote is going on in Washington, D.C. And now we'll be covering it later this week, but security beefed up. And of course, we're still wondering what the hell happened last Wednesday, but security reportedly beefed up around the Capitol. And we are seeing more and more people arrested as a result of what took place last week. And we're going to talk about that. I have Nancy Pelosi's interview with 60 Minutes, which contains some good and some bad and some very, very bad. I also have a new exclusive song with quite a bit of toilet humor, and it feels almost like it's a little bit beneath the show, but it's also quite funny, so I may play it for you. And there are just so many different things, so many different things going on. And there are there's no fly videos where some of the rioters are being told as they arrive at airports that they've been put on a no-fly list as a result of their participation in the riotous insurrection. And they go bananas. There's just so much. There's so much going on. So, I mean, listen, let's just get into it. I know people are still coming in. And welcome to everybody, by the way, on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. It's all wild what is going on. Let's just get into it. The big news, of course, Trump's getting impeached again. Let's take a listen.
The president doesn't act today. House Democrats will proceed with impeachment. The single article of impeachment they have introduced says, quote, Donald John Trump engaged in high crimes and misdemeanors by inciting violence against the government of the United States.
True.
He also willfully made statements that in context encouraged and foreseeably resulted in lawless action at the Capitol. We could be seeing a vote on that here in the coming days.
Bring it right to the floor, and it will be considered by the full House. And I expect that he will be impeached. He will be the first president in history to be impeached twice.
Right.
We need to make it clear.
And then let me just skip ahead to the report from Jim Acosta about what is going on. Hold on. Where in this is the here it is. Here's the latest on that.
Of his soapbox. We are, though, hearing from White House insiders. Let's check in with CNN chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta on that. I mean, what is happening behind the scenes here, Jim?
It seems like not much of anything.
Well, the president is in hiding. He is behind closed doors. He is not coming out in front of the cameras, and White House aides are not anxious or eager to get him out in front of the cameras. Frankly, they don't know what he's going to do next, and that's also what we're hearing from advisors to this White House. At this point, the president has shown no sign of remorse, that he feels bad at all or apologetic at all about the events that happened on January 6th, even though he should feel that way. He should feel some sense of remorse, but this is the take no responsibility president. He's been this way since day one. Brianna, you know that all too well. He's not going to change his stripes in that regard. Now, as for what Phil Mattingly was talking about in terms of the 25th Amendment a few moments ago, we do know from talking to our sources over here that Vice President Mike Pence is keeping that on the table as an option, as a way to sort of say to the president, listen, if you get out of line and do something insane one more time, this 25th Amendment is a live option. Whether or not the vice president would actually try to invoke that or attempt to invoke that, that remains to be seen.
And reportedly, Pence and Trump haven't even spoken since the insurrection.
But they are sort of using that as a kind of a carrot and stick with the president at this point. That is my sense of it at this point, Brianna. Now, in terms of the president, he and his top aides, they want to try to go out with some semblance of, I guess, whatever dignity they have left. They are planning a whole slew of events throughout this week. He's going to go down to the border tomorrow to talk about the border wall. And try to highlight that, even though it's a promise broken. He used taxpayer money to build portions of the wall on the border. border. He did not have Mexico pay for the wall. And he wants to point to what, other things that they consider to be deemed to be accomplishments over here. But at this point, no sign whether or not, as you were just mentioning a few moments ago, Brianna, whether or not the president will come into the briefing room, whether or not.
Yeah, so we may not see Trump again, although there is a scheduled propaganda event tomorrow at the U.S.-Mexico border. If it happens, I will cover it for you live. We are not expecting Donald Trump to take any questions there whatsoever, because as you can imagine, he would immediately be asked about things he doesn't want to talk about. OK, so that's very, very unlikely that we are going to see that. OK, a few super chats. I thought the Senate blocked the last impeachment. No, Trump was impeached, which happens in the House, and the Senate voted not to convict. That's not blocking impeachment. It's they voted not to convict. Relitsa Yordanova says, "Hi, David. I'd love for you to butcher my name, please." Well, yeah, maybe I just did. I'm not really sure. Jacob Ratner says, "Is the storming of the Capitol a black swan event?" That's a good question. Black swans are, that's the phrase used by Nassim Taleb in his book, The Black Swan. And I don't know. Sometimes you don't know if something is a black swan event until it's in the rearview mirror. And I think we simply don't know yet. And Fiona says, "Looking handsome tonight, David. Still got our fingers crossed for that OnlyFans account with hope and love from London." Wow, that's pretty strong. That's if there's ever been any strong inducement to create an OnlyFans, it's probably that. Okay, so remember that the premise as of this morning was if they can't move forward with the 25th Amendment on Trump, Democrats will impeach. House Republicans blocked consideration of a bill today to consider the 25th Amendment. Here was that earlier today.
The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable the Speaker, House of Representatives, Madam, I hereby submit my resignation as Sergeant at Arms of the U.S. House of Representatives. It has been an honor to serve. Signed very respectfully, Paul D. Irving, Sergeant at Arms.
So there's the Sergeant at Arms resigning over the failures last week.
Without objection, the resignation is accepted. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 208A of the Legislative Reorganization Act of 1946, the chair appoints Timothy Paul Blodgett of the state of New York.
Okay, it's actually further in. Let's get past this. Here we go.
House Resolution 22, resolution electing a member to a certain standing committee of the House of Representatives.
Without objection, the resolution is adopted, and a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, I think it's the next
House
one.
Resolution 23, resolution electing a member to a certain standing committee of the House of Representatives.
Without objection. For what purpose
Here we
does
go.
the gentleman from Maryland seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H-Res 21 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the resolution.
House Resolution 21, resolution calling on Vice President Michael R. Pence to convene and mobilize the principal officers of the executive departments of the cabinet to activate Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to declare President Donald J. Trump incapable of executing the duties of his office,
right,
and to immediately exercise powers as acting president.
Who could deny that?
For what purpose does the gentleman from West Virginia rise?
I object.
Objection is heard. Pursuant to Section 5A1B of the House Resolution 8, the House stands adjourned to 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay, so that came and went very quickly. 25th Amendment, moving on beyond that. And we are now moving into the impeachment phase, which will start tomorrow with debate and then presumably a vote on impeaching Donald Trump in the House as early as Wednesday. So we are going to be covering that. And we will follow that up. I do want to talk about Parler. I'm going to talk about that momentarily. Now, I think it bears mentioning, and there's people sending me super chats about this. FBI memo warns law enforcement across U.S. of possible armed protest at 50 state capitals. Yeah, let's even pull that up. We have a segment coming up tomorrow Let's see if we can get, hold on a second. I guess I have to shut off ad blocker on this particular page. Continue. Let's see where that, hold on, NBC News. Here it is. Okay. FBI memo warns law enforcement across 50. Wow, it's like oh my God, without an ad blocker, it's unusable. FBI memo warns law enforcement across the U.S. of possible armed protests at 50 state capitals. The FBI also says an armed group has threatened to travel to Washington and stage an uprising if Congress removes Donald Trump from office. The FBI has sent a memo to law enforcement agencies across the country warning of possible armed protests at all 50 state capitals starting January 16, and also says an armed group has threatened to travel to D.C. the same day and stage an uprising if Congress removes President Trump from office, according to a senior law enforcement official. The memo includes information provided by the ATF, DEA, Defense Department, Park Police, and the U.S. Marshals, among other agencies. Some of the information came from social media, some from open source, and some from other sources of information. The senior law enforcement official says the FBI's National Crisis Coordination Center distributed the update to law enforcement agencies as a summary of threat information they've received following last Wednesday's deadly mob attack on the Capitol. While the memo discusses possible threats discussed by online actors for the 16th through the 20th, it doesn't mean law enforcement agencies expect violent mass protests in every state. For instance, a spokesperson for the FBI in Boston says at this point in time, FBI Boston is not in possession of intelligence indicating any planned armed protests at the 4 state capitals in our area of responsibility: Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. So here's the bottom line as I understand it right now. It is almost a guarantee that there will be more violent protests between now and January 20th. Where they are going to be and when they are going to take place is an open question. And the answer could be all of the above. We just don't know. And that is my belief. And beyond that, I don't know that it's too clear right now what it is that we are expecting to see. Let's get now to the battle over Parler. I have a lot to say about what's going on with Parler. Parler is the right-wing social media app, which has been where lots of right-wingers sought safe harbor after Twitter and Facebook banned Donald Trump. But now we are seeing Google, Apple, and Amazon ban Parler from app stores and from using Amazon hosting services. And it's almost funny. It's almost funny, the degree to which they are misstating what is taking place. Let's listen to Devin Nunes briefly, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it.
That there is no longer a free and open social media company or site for any American to get on any longer.
So first and foremost, what is not what there isn't is a rule that says to Amazon, you have to host Parler. Parler still exists. OK, what we are seeing is the free market. This is capitalism. It is capitalism for Facebook to say, we are going to make a business decision. It is capitalism for Google to say, we are going to remove Parler from the App Store. The alternative would be government telling these businesses how they must operate. Republicans have been against that for decade after decade.
Because these big companies, Apple, Amazon, Google, they have just destroyed what was likely, Parler is likely $1 billion company.
I don't know that that's true, but okay.
Poof, it's gone. But it's more than just the financial aspect to that. Republicans have no way to communicate.
Have you heard of email? They have no way to communicate. What?
It doesn't even matter if you're a Republican or conservative. If you don't want to be regulated by left-wingers that are at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, where you get shadow banned, nobody gets to see you, they get to decide what's violent or not violent, it's preposterous. So I don't know where the hell the Department of Justice is at right now, or the FBI.
That's rich. Listen, these people have been arguing for 20 years. Let's not go and enforce the antitrust laws that are on the books. I have interviews with antitrust experts on my show. These are the people who have been saying, no, we don't. Leftist liberals like Liz Warren want to deal with antitrust. We don't. That's them. Now these tech companies are huge. And now they say, well, listen, somehow these companies got so big and they're sort of like town squares now, and we need to regulate them. They've been saying for 20 years, businesses shouldn't be regulated. The free market will regulate them. If a business makes a decision that the people don't like, the people will vote with their dollars. Where are they now? So it's not just that they're hypocrites. They're the reason we have the lack of regulatory infrastructure that they now claim to want. They're the reason we've not dealt with the monopolistic behavior of these firms all along. And now all of a sudden they say, oh my God, what do you mean? Listen, Google says no, but you can still get Parler in a different way. Parler could get their own servers and you could download the app. Yeah, but Google's so big now. Well, why did Google get so big? Because when Liz Warren was saying we've got to break up these tech monopolies, you were saying no. You were saying we're for free enterprise. So capitalism is destroying Parler. The free market is destroying Parler. That's it. And we're going to have more coverage of this tomorrow. Let's just listen to a little more of this screed.
This is clearly a violation of antitrust.
Oh, and I haven't even pre-watched this. He was the one say his party is the party of let's not worry about antitrust. Can you imagine? Here we go.
Civil rights, the RICO statute.
So by the way, civil rights. If Amazon was saying we are going to put in some policy that will discriminate against, Black-owned apps or Christian-owned apps, political affiliation is not a protected. I believe in D.C. it is, but nationally, political in other states, political affiliation is not a protected class. Businesses everywhere other than D.C. and fact check me. Businesses anywhere from D.C., they're not allowed to say, we don't serve Black people. They're not allowed to say, we don't serve Jewish people. They're not allowed to say, we don't serve people who are from Thailand. But they are allowed to say, we don't serve Republicans if they so want, because political orientation is not a protected class. And now he's talking about civil rights now?
There should be a racketeering investigation on all the people that coordinated this attack on not only a company.
It's if I just played for you, there should be something happening to people who coordinated this attack. You would imagine he's talking about the attack on the Capitol by Trumpists. He's talking about a so-called attack on Parler. Imagine.
But on all of those like us, like me, like you, Maria, I have 3 million followers on
Oh, no.
Parler. Tonight, I will no longer be able to communicate with those people. And they're Americans. And by the way, unlike the fake social media sites, we know that everybody that's on Parler, because you get...
What, isn't he from California? Why does he have a Southern accent? Or is that required to be like playing his role?
Certified, there's a number. It's actually a very, very safe platform. And if you break the law on Parler, the FBI can subpoena to find out who those people are.
What is he talking about?
If you break crimes on Facebook and Twitter, good luck. Good luck trying to find out who they are. So Parler's went above and beyond. It's one of the reasons why I didn't go to Parler, 8 months ago, because it was a Republican platform. I didn't know if it was Republican or not.
That's such BS. He had no, it might have been a super liberal platform. He didn't know.
I went there because I knew that I could express my thoughts freely, and that I knew that the list as I post something was going to be there. And
so this guy's disgusting. So basically, he wants the government to restrict the free speech of corporations, is what it sounds like. Very heavy-handed Republican. Very, very heavy-handed Republican. That's for sure. Okay, let me get caught up with some of the things that are going on here. I do want to say thank you to the 6 really great people who just grabbed subs on Twitch. I very much appreciate that. Also, a big thank you to Diana Dapsevich, who signed up at joinpacman.com, Alexander Froderberg, Matthew Sadler, Rochelle Cove, and Myrtle Dawes. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, putting this at 11. I very much appreciate that. And joinpacman.com, very, very strongly working right now. It couldn't be working any better. Let me look at a few super chats. What is Twitter saying? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. A lot of right-leaning Californians take a fake Southern accent for some reason. I thought it was weird. A disgruntled employee at the State Department changed the biography of Trump and Pence to say their term ended on Monday. I saw that. Did you know about someone getting all Parler's user information because it turns out their security wasn't great? I did see that. Someone archived the posts on Parler. Insurrection Act signed. This is over. Jail time Biden. Is this someone who thinks Biden's going to jail? Is that what's going on in my stream? That's crazy. Billion-dollar company. Parler is in Henderson, Nevada, and employs 15 people. Their app security was running on free trial software. If that's true, that's funny. Thoughts on Parler post being archived on cloud? Yeah, I don't know enough about it yet to say. Social apps aren't a civil right. Yeah, I had a tweet about this yesterday. Where was this? Oh, by the way, so this is every day. You're a dickhead and a liar. I guess I'm lying on the ground. My a dickhead and I'm lying on the ground is how I would interpret this message. Anyway, that's not what I was trying to get to. What I was trying to get to was this. All Americans have an unalienable right to Twitter, and any limitation on access is an unconstitutional violation of rights granted by God. Also, Americans don't have a right to health care. That's a product to be bought and sold on the free market for those who can afford it. So that's where people like Devin Nunes now are. I am not in PogChamps 3. I was in PogChamps 2. I was not invited to 3, but it looks like it'll be a great event. So I look forward to watching it, which will be very, very exciting. David for president and Kyle for VP. I cannot be president. I was not born in the United States. Any validity on Marine One flying over the vice president's house? I don't even know what that means. I haven't heard about that. Biggest news is donors pulling money from the Republican Party. Yeah, I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Very, very interesting story. All right, let's go to Joe Biden getting his second vaccine dose now. This was earlier today. I'm looking to get a vaccine myself very, very soon. I mean, I won't be able to get one anywhere. I won't qualify, but I'm certainly looking to get one. Dose number 2 for Joseph R. Biden Jr. Little alcohol wipe, very, very strong. In, plunge, wipe, Band-Aid, there it is. Let's see if there were any comments.
Confidence in your COVID team that they will be able to vaccinate 50 million Americans in the first 100 days?
I do. Let me make a couple brief statements. Number one, my number one priority is getting vaccine in people's arms, like we just did today, as rapidly as we can. And we're working on that program now. I'll be meeting on a Zoom call with my team a little later this afternoon. I've put together, which I'll be announcing on Thursday, laying out the plan, the cost of how I want to proceed, the cost of what we have to do to be able
We will cover that live.
the entire COVID operation up and running. 3,000 to 4,000 people a day dying is just beyond the pale.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. And we can do a lot to change it, number one. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but we can get it done. And secondly, wearing this mask, socially distancing, and making sure people are washing their hands on a regular basis is critically important.
All right, so nothing particularly groundbreaking, but let's look at the latest on vaccine distribution. More than 26 million shots have been given globally. Globally, okay? The U.S. has administered 8 million doses. And then when you look at the numbers here in the United States, the U.S. has so far used 36% of the doses that have been distributed. And from the standpoint of who has used the most, West Virginia and the Dakotas. Now, these are, very small states, much easier to do. States that are lagging are, in terms of actual states, Alabama is at the bottom. They've only used 20% of the doses given. It's been over a month. It's been 5 weeks or something like that at this point. 4 weeks, I believe. Nevada, Georgia, Alaska, Louisiana, sort of towards the bottom. All right. So it's not going well at all. In fact, it's going disastrously poorly. And we have to figure out how to get these vaccinations going more and more quickly. All right. Let's get into, do you want to do, hold on, what was this? This was nothing. Do you want to do the Nancy Pelosi interview? Where did the Nancy Pelosi interview go? Oh, hold on. I'll have to find it. So Nancy Pelosi gave an interview to 60 Minutes, and it's quite interesting. There's a lot of cringe in it. Nancy Pelosi, 60 Minutes. Or do you want to do the sort of, what would we call it? I guess we would call it the kind of lowbrow song that we have, which I'm glad to do just to get it out of the way. But I do want to look at this Nancy Pelosi interview. A lot of people have asked me to look at it. Let's see here. There's that. We'll just do the song real quick and then we'll move on, okay? So this is a funny new song from Jethro Bradley. This is basically this is very low. It's toilet humor, but we're just doing it. This is combining the Trump massive dumps meme with a reporter who was talking about Donald Trump discharging his duty. And that's D-U-T-Y, but it was all put together like this. Take a listen.
40 of the cabinet members who basically say this is a president who's unable to discharge his duties.
Civic duty, and I'm proud to do it. Number 2. Now, some you have to be rough, some you have to be nice. Be a very long duty.
Came in pretty big. The helicopter, you gave away rides to the kids.
And it was nasty. It was one of the nastiest, they say. We have done an incredible duty. People came to Washington to duty. Help. Bullshit. We have done an incredible duty. You can take that home, honey. Maybe we'll frame it. This is a political thing. And every time I'd say, this is unfair, let's go to court, they say, sir, you can't go to court. This is duty. Donald Trump, this is how we'll remember.
It is what it is.
I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it's not going to be a very long trial, but I'm going down.
Duty, yeah.
All right, so that's a hot new track from Jethro Bradley. It's pretty bass. I understand that. But I figured that we would just debut it. Relatively catchy. Yeah, very much so. Okay, so I'm going to get into the Nancy Pelosi interview. This is pretty interesting stuff. People have asked me to review it, but before I do that, let me just say thanks to a few other folks who grabbed memberships on my website. I don't want to miss anybody. David Sperling has signed up. Adrian LaBelle, Gemma Hodson, Christian Stafford, Kayleen Cavelli, and Tara Johnston have all signed up today, putting us at 17. And yeah, so we've actually gotten special dispensation. The coupon code BETTER21 is legal. It is legal. For everybody who's been worried about that, it is completely and totally legal. Okay, let's see. Casey Bates says, I missed their super chat. Did I catch Mike Pompeo talking at VOA earlier? The level of hypocrisy was astounding considering recent events. I did not. I apologize. I did not. I will look into that, but I have not seen that. All right, let's get into this Nancy Pelosi interview. She was asked about impeachment. She was asked about removal. Let's take a listen.
January 6th should have been a day of ceremony when Congress met in joint session, then opened and counted electoral votes for president and vice president. Instead, it will be remembered as the day an angry mob stirred up and aimed down Pennsylvania Avenue by an election-losing president, smashed its way into the Capitol, leaving 5 dead the building ransacked, and American democracy under siege. On Friday, we joined House Speaker Nancy Pelosi at the Capitol, where her influence in the nation's leadership is growing as President Trump's power, support, and relevance dissipates.
Okay, here we go.
The story will continue in a moment.
Oh, boy. Oh, here we go.
Madam Speaker, who is running the government of the United States? We have a pandemic. We just had this horrendous act of violence up here. Mm-hmm. We had a Russian hack of our institutions. Is anybody running the executive branch of the government? Who is running the executive branch?
Well, sadly, the person who's running the executive branch is a deranged, unhinged, dangerous president of the United States. And only a number of days until we can be protected from him. But he has done something so serious that there should be prosecution against him.
So far, so good.
Well, I gather that the 25th Amendment is off the table.
No, it isn't. Nothing is off the table.
The mayhem at the Capitol started early afternoon on January 6th, with the rioters barreling past the barricades, clashing with police, and breaking into the Capitol. As they swarmed through the halls, the Speaker was on the House floor during the count of the Electoral College vote. Oh, look. So tell us what happened when the protesters were trying to get in here. You're up there.
Well, when the protesters were making the assault on the Capitol, before they even got to...
Really shouldn't even be calling them protesters.
...these doors, the Capitol Police pulled me from the podium, and I was concerned because I said, no, I want to be here. And they said, well, no, you have to leave. I said, no, I'm not leaving. They said, no, you must leave.
Police, guns drawn, held the invaders off the House floor. But over in the Senate, the Trump supporters were able to break into the chamber. The scenes
Can you
were
imagine?
Shocking to watch.
I think there was universally accepted that what happened was a terrible, terrible violation of the Capitol, of the first branch of government, the legislative branch, by the President of the United States.
The mob was free to roam the halls, one group making it right up to Speaker Pelosi's suite of offices.
This door, they broke down, as you can see.
Oh, my goodness.
They broke that down.
Look at that. They broke the door.
They smashed it in.
And went through to another door behind which Pelosi's young staff cowered, terrorized.
The staff went under the table, barricaded the door, turned out the lights, and were silent in the dark.
Under the table
Under
this whole
the
time?
table for 2.5 hours.
Wow. During which time they listened to the invaders banging on that door, as you can hear on a recording from one of the staffers' phones.
Unbelievable.
Check this out. We are inside her Nancy Pelosi's office.
Across the hall, a group broke into the Speaker's
every one of these people hopefully has been or will soon be arrested.
Private office. Oh, wow. Wow.
You see what they did to the mirror there? The glass was all over the place. They took
they smashed
computer and all that stuff, but laptop. And then the desk that they actually were at was right there, that they
This guy has been arrested, as far as I recall.
Defamed in that way, but feet on the desk and all that.
That man was arrested on Friday, and the FBI is investigating whether any of the agitators, some seen in ballistic vests with zip ties, intended to kidnap or kill legislators or their staffers. They were coming to find you, maybe to hurt you, I don't know.
The evidence is now that it was a well-planned, organized group with leadership and guidance and direction. And
and for people who are asking what this super chat says, do you feel it's possible we will see more right-wing terrorism on Inauguration Day? Yes, I fear that we will. I fear we will.
Direction was to go get people. They were vocally saying, where's the speaker? We know she has staff. They're here someplace. We're going to find them.
While all this was going on, Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer, from an undisclosed location, called on the president to tell his followers to leave the Capitol.
It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side.
Especially.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
The president said, go home, but the election was, went on with his lies, his misrepresentations, his delusion that he won in a landslide in this election.
So finally, the protesters were ejected, and you came almost right back into session. How did that happen?
I know from Chuck Schumer and from Mitch McConnell, there was consensus that we should come
There was
back.
no discussion?
There were some suggestions that it may take too long and we should do it at the undisclosed location, but there was general belief that from the message of strength that we needed to send, we had to go back to the Capitol as soon as possible.
The Senate will come to order.
Vice President Pence, who had been taken to a secure location in the Capitol, concurred with the decision to resume the count amid reports that he was livid at the president.
Let's get back to work.
Work dragged on until almost 4 a.m.
I object.
as Republicans challenged certified election results. And they did that after the violence.
After the violence, shame on them, and shame on two-thirds of the Republican caucus in the House supporting those. So these people are enablers of the president's behavior. I remember when Republicans in the Senate went to see Richard Nixon and said, it's over.
I actually talked about this today when I talked about the two paths forward for the U.S., and that clip is going live in about 45 minutes. I talked about exactly the Nixon analogy.
That's what has to happen now.
One of the reasons she's so eager to see Mr. Trump's immediate removal from office is her grave concern that in the next 10 days, he might try to do something reckless militarily, including ordering the use of nuclear weapons.
I don't think that will happen.
She told us she sought advice from General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
I have sought information from those who are in a position to know that there are protections against this dangerous president initiating any military hostilities or something worse than that.
Something else she and Senator Schumer did was call the vice president to urge him to initiate the 25th Amendment that provides procedures to remove a president from office.
We were kept on the line for 20 minutes. It's going to be here in a minute. Well, he never did.
They kept you on hold for 20 minutes?
At least. Of course, I was at home, so I was running the dishwasher, putting my clothes in the laundry. We're still waiting for him to return the call.
Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
After Congress confirmed Joe Biden's victory in the election, President Trump read from a teleprompter, offering his most conciliatory statement about the election.
Now, remember, this was totally forced and he didn't mean any of it. And within minutes went back to tweeting lies about voter fraud, which culminated in him getting suspended for life from Twitter.
Administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power.
Now that he's burned the house down, he's promising to throw the matches away.
Mr. Trump has said he will not attend the inauguration. The new president has said he wants to turn over a new page of bipartisan cooperation. In the election in November, someone said that the mandate that the Democrats won was not about issues because you lost so many seats. That the mandate was...
So now I think Pelosi starts to get a little irritated.
...for tone and attitude and a strong desire for compromise.
I do know that it was a mandate for us to go forward with an agenda for America's working families, as well as to do so in tone. We have, I always say to our members, we have a responsibility to find common ground. When we can't, we must stand our ground, but we have a responsibility to try.
You, yourself, are not known as a person who compromises.
Here we go.
No, I am. I'll compromise. We want to get the job done. I'm mischaracterized by the Republicans that way, but that's a tactic that they use. No, we know we want results for the American people.
What about the COVID relief package?
Yeah.
That was held up for 8 months.
No. But
so there are a lot of criticisms of Pelosi. I don't think the COVID one is a good one because by April, May, Democrats did already have another proposal. So I don't think this is a good line of attack, but it leaves Nancy Pelosi sort of agitated about the next part.
That was their obstruction. I understand this.
Well, wait.
Was their obstruction?
Yours too.
Their obstruction.
No, yours too. Takes
no,
two
it wasn't obstruction.
You held out for 8 months.
No, we held it up because there was no respect for our heroes, our state and local healthcare workers, police and fire, our first responders, our sanitation, transportation, food workers, our teachers. They would not go down that path.
There's a member of your caucus who said specifically that we look like obstructionists and it was a mistake.
Well, I don't remember anybody saying that. And they may have. But it wasn't a mistake, and I would not, and nobody expects me to support something that solidifies injustice in our country.
Let's talk about the Russian hack.
Mm-hmm.
There was an invasion, a cyber invasion.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Mm-hmm.
What should the United States do about that?
In terms of the hack, that the president would not assert his authority. First of all,
he hasn't said anything.
No, he hasn't said anything.
Except that maybe China did it.
Yeah, well, the president, again, has a 10-year blind spot and whatever obligation. I don't know what the Russians have on President Trump, whether it's personal, whether it's political, whether it's financial. I don't know what it is.
You think they have something on him?
But there's no other explaining why this president of the United States.
So I think the part that's problematic here is that Trump's reaction to the Russian hack was pathetic. And, maybe China did it. We don't know China didn't do it. It's like, well, we don't have evidence. I think it's nuts. I think Trump's reaction has been nuts. But I think the problem where and we'll see if in the last minute or two here she cleans it up, is Democrats have to explain what they want to do, because very often they will just sort of frame themselves as wanting to take action, but it's never clear what does it mean to stand up to Putin? Are you threatening war? What kind of war are you talking about? So I think that the problem is often that there's this rhetoric that's applied and it focuses on how Trump hasn't stood up. And of course, that's true. But what exactly is it that you're proposing be done?
Is such a handmaiden of Putin.
Can we talk about the A word?
What's that?
Age.
Oh, age.
Okay, so now I think this is what Pelosi liked the least.
You're 80.
Right.
Your number 2, Steny Hoyer, is 81. Your number 3, Jim Clyburn, is 80. Why haven't you brought young people into the leadership?
Because we have. You perhaps don't know.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
See, so that she's clearly irritated at this point.
Because we are.
That was kind of sharp, kind of dismissing her. Boop.
I'm not dismissing her. I respect her. I think she's very effective, as are many other members in our caucus that the press doesn't pay attention to. But they are there, and they are building support for what comes next.
The Speaker intends to keep the pressure on President Trump to leave office as soon as possible. If he does not resign immediately, she has threatened to initiate impeachment proceedings. What if he pardons himself?
What if he pardons these people who are terrorists on the Capitol?
Okay, I like calling them terrorists. That's good.
Or pardons
himself? What if he
himself?
does that? He can only pardon himself from federal offenses. He cannot pardon himself from state offenses, and that's where he's being investigated in the state of New York.
There is a possibility that after all of this, there's no punishment, no consequence, and he
Possibility. It's almost a guarantee.
could run again for president.
And that's one of the motivations that people have for advocating for impeachment.
Won't that take more than the 10 days? I mean, does it actually make sense?
Well, I like the 25th Amendment because it gets rid of him. He's out of office. But there is strong support in the Congress for impeaching the president a second time. This president is guilty of inciting insurrection. He has to pay a price for that.
So there it is. I mean, it's an interesting interview. A lot of the stuff is pretty milquetoast. There's some interesting elements here. And of course, I completely 100% agree that Trump should be removed, impeached, whatever. Doesn't really matter how long it takes. Part of it is about preventing him from being able to run again. So there's a lot there and a lot of really, really important things. People asking if I'm going to play the Arnold video. I'm open to playing the Arnold video. It's a very good video. It's a very good video. I'm open to playing that. You know, one of the things I was thinking of, if someone could help me find, I'm actually having trouble finding it. I was looking for it while we were listening to that. The breakdown in security was so bad at the Capitol that the people didn't really seem to expect to be in for very long. And you could see that because once they went in and they got in, they sort of like didn't know what to do. They were just kind of like wandering around, and many of them didn't know what to do. And what I found interesting is it's sort of like what happens when I get a troll caller, but I just allow them to talk to me. They imagine that I'm going to rush them off the air right away. But of course, I'm fascinated by these troll callers, so I'll just talk to them. And there was one when the Kansas troll called in, and he started saying, "Are you going to start selling supplements like Alex Jones, Patriot supplements?" And I just kind of handled it like, No, we're not going to sell any supplements. And the guy, expecting to be taken off the air right away, immediately collapsed. And it was just hilarious. And I feel like that's similar to what went on with a lot of these protesters who the failure was so bad that they broke down the door and all this different stuff. Then they were like, now what do we do? And some of them started destroying property. Some of them were just kind of wandering around. It was all it was all relatively bizarre. And okay, that's that. Oh, and from the standpoint of voicemails. So here's just one other thing. I mentioned to you guys that since Democrats took the Senate and the armed riotous Trumpist insurrection, I hadn't heard from any of our typical right-wing callers. I didn't hear from Repeater. I didn't hear from Prickless Guy. And I hadn't heard from Troy York. I finally heard from Troy York. Okay. I've not listened to this, but Troy York is now back. Let's see what his subject is now that we're hearing from Troy York again.
Hey, Dave. I'm watching a little YouTube tonight, and I see the Hodge twins.
Again, these Hodge twins, I don't know who these people are, but he seems very much engaged with them.
They've been putting out some good daily programming, unlike your propagandist globalist program.
Globalist code for Jew here. Okay.
And they've been doing some good programming about this, the Capitol, the storming of the Capitol building. And I think, I believe a small group of Antifa far left radicals infiltrated the overall larger rally.
Yeah, of course, there's no evidence of that. And when you see on video hundreds, if not thousands of people participating, even if you want to make the case that somehow Antifa triggered the event, there's a whole hell of a lot of people stupid enough to follow the lead of Antifa. Now, that's if. And of course, the truth is there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
They gathered at a certain point, and I believe it was like prearranged.
It was definitely prearranged by Trumpists.
By the Democrats and the far left socialist wing of the government.
Which doesn't exist. There's essentially no socialists in American federal government.
To let a few of these radicals actually into these double agent protesters into the Capitol, and to be used
the Capitol
against repressing patriots and Trump supporters. And
it's like, it's so stupid and so obviously unbelievable that it's hard to even get too worked up about it.
I think that if they were really domestic terrorists, or that these politicians were actually in danger, and if these were domestic terrorists, they would actually be dead. I think this is another.
Well, that's actually very dangerous. I mean, it was, thankfully they got out quickly enough and they were only lightly armed. But that seems to be what this guy is suggesting would be better in some way. I mean, it's very dangerous. You know, we have this guy's info. Maybe we should provide it to the FBI.
False flag fabrication of the Democrat Party.
Yikes.
And don't believe a word of it. I think it's all total more horseshit. More horseshit from your political spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, my people aren't violent. None of us are violent.
You manipulators of the Democrat Party.
Oh, the left manipulated these people into committing crimes, I see.
To take a organized protest and then redirect a false narrative.
Yeah, so anyway, that's going to the FBI. And that seems, I mean, that's very, very, very aggressive and dangerous to me. Okay. So I am going to do some of the no-fly list videos. People have been asking me to do no-fly list videos, and I do want to check these out. We're going to check them out momentarily. Now, can someone confirm this one where a guy is taken down and yells, "You're treating me like a black person"? I've been told this is actually an old video and that it's not actually new. Can anybody confirm that? Because this has been going around, and I've been told that this actually has nothing to do with the last week. It's from 2018. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna be skipping that one. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to that in a second. Before I do that, I want to say thanks to. Oh, geez, nobody is signing up on Twitch. That's sad. But I do want to say thanks to the people who signed up on my website, joinpacman.com. Thomas Humqvist is a new member. Daniel Aguilar is a new member. Arvid Ridal. Florina Tennyson, Mike Smith, and Troy Tennyson. Oh, looks like a family affair. Mike Robles and Daniel Tubasing, a very, very much appreciated, which puts us at 25. Shocking number of just massive dumps of memberships are coming in. Let me look at just a couple of the super chats, and then I want to get to the no-fly list videos. Nothing says personal responsibility like right-wing lunatics holding a violent insurrection and then blaming Antifa. Yeah, basically. Do you know about the armed protest advertised on posters for 3 days before the inauguration in all 50 states? Yes, I saw that. David, could you share your thoughts on Gavin Newsom? Do you think he's getting a bum rap? I don't know enough to say. I don't know enough about Gavin Newsom to comment substantively. They are conservative African-American twins that have a YouTube station. They used to do comedic workout commentary. Oh, is that the Hotch twins that that guy was mentioning? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Does convicting Trump in the Senate after the inauguration, thereby preventing him from running for future office, make him a political martyr? Seems risky to incite these people. No, it's the right thing to do. I'm sick of this whole thing. Oh, it might be divisive. It might trigger some people. It might fire people up. No, absolutely not. Oh, people are saying Twitch subscription is broken. That has never happened. Is that true? I've never. Oh, no, hold on. Somebody just signed up. Weird. People asking how often I'll be on Twitch. I've been on Twitch a couple times a week for a year. Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Let's go to so here's what's going on. No fly list videos are happening. These are reportedly, folks who are getting no fly listed because of their involvement with the riots, but I don't actually know that that's what all of these are. Like, for example, this video is from 2018. Okay, here's one where people were not allowed on. Let's see what this one is about.
This is what happens, man. This is what happens.
Communism.
This is what happens, guys. This is crazy, yo. It's crazy what this freaking country's turning into, dude.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, it's unclear what some of these are. Let's take a look at, here's one other. It's just not clear to me that these are actual rioters from last week. It's very, very much unclear. Here's another one. I don't know. I mean, it's all weird. I wish we knew more about each of these.
One of you, but this is what they do to us. They
kicked me off the plane. They called me a fucking terrorist, and they want to fucking ruin my life.
Yeah, these could really be from any time. Here's another one.
Right now. So right there. Yeah.
This one is one of the Trumpists getting himself arrested. Let's see if we have any others.
Thank you. Have a good day.
We're going to have a great day.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Have a great day.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Yeah,
Nigga.
federal charges now.
Yeah.
That's
Bye.
what we do.
Bye. Bye.
Well, a lot of cheering going on there. Let's see if we've got maybe one other one.
Station, or you will not reboard. And
Thank you. Have a good day.
This is that same woman.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Have a great day.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Yeah.
Federal
charges now.
Yeah. Bye.
Why do they have to take their mask off? I don't understand why the mask comes off.
Bye. Bye.
I love every single one of you. But this is what they do to us. They kicked me off the plane. They called me a fucking terrorist. And they want to fucking ruin my life. Treat me like a
Yeah, and this one's all right. We're gonna get away from this because it's just not completely clear to me which ones of these are actually from this. They're very entertaining, but it's like if this is someone getting kicked off months ago for no mask or 2 years ago or what. I mean, it's all kind of irrelevant. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. Okay, let's see here. I want to. Oh, hold on. Subs do seem to be working because a whole bunch of people just signed up. 24 people just grabbed Twitch subs. So they must be working to some degree. Yeah, I don't know. In any case, big thank you to Martin Reseth for subscribing at joinpacman.com, Kyle Beach, Graylin Hammond, Nilo Heinonen. I believe that's a Finnish name. Zandra Zapata Ramirez. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. James Hopp is 6, Kyle Santos is 7, and Randy Chavez is 8, which puts us at 57. I'm up for some phone lines. Yeah, I'm potentially up for some phone lines here. Okay, a few other super chats coming in. Antifa clearly dresses up as a deep cover QAnon guy with a spear. Keep up the great work, David. Trump is resigning and Pence is being sworn in at 7:40 p.m. Eastern time. That can't be true. That certainly can't be true. How do I get access to the bonus show if I became a member on YouTube? Can't seem to find it under the community tab. Yeah, please email in about that. Other super chats coming in. Which one is it? The attack was justified because people are angry, or it was atrocious and it was Antifa, right? Yeah, very well said. My friend sent in a remix for you. Okay, we will process those in the order that they are received. Do you believe political affiliation should be a protected status? Seems to be a slippery slope. Essentially, no. I think, as I've said before, I actually think religion as a protected status is dubious because it's self-professed, but I understand the legal basis for it because of freedom of religion ingrained in the Constitution. Political status, I do not believe, should be protected. You just pick what political status you have, and you can change it the next day and the next day. And I don't think so. I don't think it's a very slippery slope. I don't think it is. Okay. I tagged you in something from the State Department. Yeah, I know. We saw the thing. We really don't know what to make of it. Okay, good. So we've got that. Just a few other things. I did want to get to some of the different things that have been posted by our friend Aaron Rupar. Here is for Congressman Darrell Issa saying that the deaths of the people during the insurrection are overblown. They're being overplayed. Yikes. Let's take a listen.
that an impeachment trial wouldn't begin until 1 o'clock on January 20th after the president is a former president. So a trial.
So who cares? That's not her business.
Would never actually happen. So what is this then? Is this for show? Is this so that he won't run again? If the reality of it, with 9 days left.
The only question is, has Trump done something impeachable? The flow chart is really simple. Has Trump done something impeachable? If yes, you impeach. That's it. That's the entire flow chart.
That it actually can't happen in terms of a trial.
Well, it's probably similar to shutting off the Twitter feed of somebody after.
No, it's not at all like that.
After his presidency is essentially over. It's kicking when he's down. It's getting rid of 88 million people who follow and listen to the president. There's no question.
No, you're not getting rid of them. They get to keep their Twitter accounts. You're not getting rid of 88 million people. And no, that's really dumb.
At all that I think the liberals saw an opportunity, a misstep by the president that they're going to overplay, and they're overplaying it as we speak. They're overplaying a lot of things, including the death of these people on Capitol Hill.
Trump hasn't even come out and actually spoken about the fact that people died. And it's the left that's overplaying the fact that people died during a violent insurrection suggested and encouraged by Donald Trump. That's absolutely nuts. Let me see a couple of other things from the feed. Okay, let's see. So, Marco Rubio claims rioters who were chanting "We want Trump" and wearing MAGA attire are not actually conservatives.
These are not conservatives. These are wackos. These are nut jobs. Now, 99% of the people that were at that protest did not storm that Capitol. They have strong feelings about the election. They support the president, and they were not a part of it. But there is this element, very small, but enough people to create a tremendous amount of damage and put a lot of people in danger. And we should be rejecting that group, not after the fact, but before. And
well, yeah, but we've got to make them pay consequences now, too, right? I mean, if they committed crimes.
And to the extent anyone has indulged that, I think that's important to recognize and point to and say, look, this is why we have to watch what we say and who we allow into the movement, because these are the people that can do terrible things. And they may be incited to do things by words that maybe you didn't intend to be read that way, but they did. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what.
Wow, that's a wacky take. Let's listen to Jim Jordan here.
That Vice President Biden to do that, President-elect Biden to do that.
Okay. A couple of other things that I wanted to get to here. I don't want to deal with him. Don't want to deal with that. No Mick Mulvaney. Toomey, we talked about on the broadcast show today. Okay. Yeah, this is so I'm starting to think a lot of the people who talk about 1984 haven't read the book. Okay.
Because we are trying to provide a nonpartisan town square in which people of varying
looks like she's reading this.
Viewpoints can have productive discussions, and force and threats of force stop those discussions. In fact, they stop thinking. So it's the opposite of what we want. We want people to think. We want them to think for themselves. At the same time, we strongly believe that Orwell's 1984 is a dystopian novel. It's not an instruction manual. And by that, I mean that in a free country, innocent people.
See, you know what's really weird about that? Orwell's dystopia is one where government essentially had all the control. And here, what these right-wing nuts are decrying is that government does not have the control to tell private companies what to do. It's literally the opposite of Orwell. And by the way, I mean, listen, you all know I read quite a bit. I believe everybody should truly read. There's actually 3 books. It's not just Orwell's 1984. To get different versions of these dystopia, read Orwell's 1984, read Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and read We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. Those are the 3 that I highly recommend everybody read. And then maybe, don't sound as stupid as this woman. That's really the main priority. But there's nothing Orwellian. It's just so dumb. It's truly so dumb. Okay, here's Rudy promoting something. I don't know what that is. Ted Cruz. Okay, I think that's basically it as far as what I wanted to grab from there. Okay, so we're caught up as far as that goes. Okay, do people want to look at the Arnold video or not? I've already seen it. Some people are saying, yes, do the Arnold video. Others are saying, no, don't do it. I could go either way. Yeah, most people are saying not to do it. Yeah, I mean, my reaction is that it's sort of it was sort of kitschy, but he says a lot of important things in it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like most people are that interested in it. Breaking DHS Chad Wolf is stepping down. All right, another one bites the dust. I think that's a good opportunity to talk generally about that. Chad Wolf resign. 4 days ago, Chad Wolf says he won't resign. 4 days ago. Doesn't seem as though there are news articles about it yet. Let's see. Chad Wolf resign. Latest. He's resigning. Okay, there we go. He said 4 days ago he's not going to resign, and now he says he is resigning. So this is from 15 seconds ago saying he won't resign. And then this is Chad Wolf decided to resign. I'm guessing he is resigning. It seems pretty clear at this point that the articles being linked to are older. And here it is. Dear colleagues, effective at 11:59 p.m. today, I'm stepping down as your acting secretary. I am saddened to take this step as it was my intention to serve the department until the end. Unfortunately, the actions warranted by recent events, including the ongoing and meritless court rulings regarding the validity of my authority as acting secretary, these events and concerns increasingly serve to divert attention and resources away from the important work of the department in this critical time of a transition of power. Once I step down, Pete Gaynor will be the acting secretary. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So here's the most important message about all of these rats jumping the ship. None of them can be rehabilitated in their reputation because they quit when there are 9 days left. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. What we've seen over the last week is just the logical crescendo of what we were warning people about in November of 2016. Okay? You all know that there were lots of I'm not even talking about the clowns on the right because you already know about them. There were even clowns on the left who back in October, November of 2016 were saying the Supreme Court, it's not a good enough reason to vote for Hillary. Trump's not going to be that bad. He won't get away with any authoritarianism. It'll shake things up. It'll be different. It'll be anti-establishment. You know, he is kind of a populist and Hillary's a corporate shill anyway, so I'm going to stay home. Or come on, guys. Come on. None of these people deserve to be rehabilitated in terms of their reputation. The accelerationist ideas that I just presented were never valid ideas. There's no historical examples from the last, 200 years that suggest that that was a good idea. I don't care about party. I'm not even a Democrat myself. They can't allow we can't allow them to be rehabilitated after what they participated in. It simply can't happen. Okay, let's listen.
Before this happened, Chad Wolf released a statement saying, quote, I have instructed the U.S. Secret Service to begin the National Special Security Event operations for the 2021 inauguration effective Wednesday, January 13th instead of January 19th. Do we know what those operations entail and what this actually means? How is this different from the beefed up security that would already be in place for the inauguration?
Well, hopefully this will actually work.
Allison, that is a specific legal designation that applies to the most high security events in the nation, ones that are likely to be targeted by terrorist attacks. And it has the legal effect of putting the Secret Service in charge of security, the FBI in charge of intelligence, and FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, in charge of sort of formulating a response in case something really bad happen. So it really amps up the planning. And that designation was not given to this event at the Capitol, even though it was essentially a State of the Union address without the president. It was a joint session of Congress.
All right, so I think you guys get the picture. Now they're going to take more seriously the security. And we'll have a segment on Friday actually talking more about the security failures. I'm still researching. I do want to say thank you to the 31 people who just grabbed Twitch subscriptions at twitch.tv/David Pakman. Let me also thank a few other people who signed up on my website. I want to say thanks to Ryan Frenzel and Jill Simone. I want to say a big thank you to Nathan Garcia, as well as Ileana Figueiredo. And a huge thanks to Don and Courtney Fouts and Kevin Medea, who are getting us to 94. And yeah, we're very close, and I'm glad to open up some phone lines here and hear from some folks. And by the way, we made the official decision. For the last 2 months, we've been sort of piloting using Discord for calls, even though we still kept our old phone system. Today, I made the official decision to sever ties with the old phone system. It's of absolutely no consequence whatsoever to anybody in the audience, because we've been using Discord anyway. But just as a little FYI, we did make that decision. Is Rubio seriously suggesting people misunderstood trial by combat to mean actual violence? Rubio's disgusting. Rubio, he could mean anything. Anything else here I want to address? Haven't seen the Michael Moore video. I'm thoroughly enjoying the radio silence from Trump and his deactivated Twitter. Yeah, it's really not bad. Read Homage to Catalonia, where Orwell was fighting fascists. Read The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Watching from South Africa, the coup attempt should undermine the U.S. moral high ground when placing sanctions on African unstable democracies. Very well said, yeah. Absolutely. A White House site did say Trump's term ended at 7:40 today, posted by a disgruntled employee. Yeah, it was pretty clear that was just like a sort of hack or disgruntled employee. Talk about Rudy potentially being disbarred. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Did you see Angela Merkel and the French finance minister oppose Trump being banned from Twitter, the ACLU as well? I've bookmarked an article about that, but I have not looked at it yet. Okay. Have I watched the VOA stream with Pompeo? I haven't. Let's take a look at it. Enough people are asking me to take a look at it. Let's see what it's all about. I am curious. I've not seen this yet. It's been removed by the uploader. Okay, so let's see. Pompeo VOA. Hold on. Let's see if we can find another video of it. 1 hour ago, VOA News. Let's take a look at this. Let's get to the Pompeo section,
presented in Voice of America,
which is here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome. Michael, thanks for your leadership of this incredibly important institution. And Bob, congratulations on returning to the helm of VOA. I am truly happy to be here. I'm honored to have been requested. And it's always fun to be with a fellow tanker, too. I want to acknowledge the...
Tanker, not tanky, I assume.
Other network chiefs who is with us today, Steve Yates of Radio Free Asia. Steve, where you at? Nice to see you. And a note of appreciation, too, to the Voice of American journalist staff and to all those watching and listening. I've sat down for interviews with many of you in the far corners of the world. They have always been a joy. And speaking of which, too, I understand that this speech is being broadcast on TV, radio, on your website, social media, in more than...
So the backstory here is that Trump installed a total clown loyalist at VOA, which is Voice of America. And now all of a sudden, everybody's just thrilled with Voice of America.
40 languages. Hats off to the translators. I have no idea how anyone can translate my talking into Uzbek this quickly. That guy or gal deserves a bonus. It's great to have this opportunity. I've been following the work of Voice of America for decades. And as Bob just mentioned, I started my career as an Army officer, patrolling the Iron Curtain, Freedom's frontier. In the 1980s, I couldn't cross into East Germany. I was serving
this guy's a joke.
In a little town called Binlock. West Germans couldn't cross either. But your broadcast, Voice of America broadcast, could. Millions of men and women whose names we'll never know listen to you, often at their own peril. Their governments dealt only in lies and propaganda, but VOA's listeners wanted the truth, and that's what you gave them. VOA's very first broadcast in 1942 that Bob referred to began with the Battle Hymn of the Republic, along with
I'm sorry, guys. Just seeing Pompeo read off of prompters, were there questions later? Or what did people want me to look at from this? Because it's not seeming super compelling or newsworthy. It's mostly just boring. Yeah, I don't know. He said the NPR correspondent couldn't find Ukraine on a map. Yeah, okay. It's not seeming worth it. Let me just randomly skip ahead to see if he says anything else that's interesting.
Was to take this human rights project from the 20th century that has just fallen away. It lost its capacity to understand the things that were contained in our founding about how human rights are formed. It had moved away even from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And what I wanted to do in that was to reground American foreign policy and how we thought about human rights. And I think the report captures it pretty well. Your point about religious freedom and the capacity to speak freely, two core rights that if a nation gets it wrong, it will be less secure, it will be less prosperous, its people will be less whole.
All right, so there's that. Let's see, Mike Pompeo. People are saying on Twitter that there was something important or relevant from Pompeo. Let's see. We cut off funding to UNFPA when they kept cooperating with China's coercive family planning system. UNFPA is still working with CCP butchers who forcibly sterilize Uyghur women. Disgusting. The Trump administration protected life at the UN. We launched the Geneva Consensus. When multilateral institutions work. Thank you, WFP Chief David Beasley, for leading from the front. Cuba's continued support for terrorism must be stopped. The U.S. is returning Cuba to the state sponsors of terrorism list. That's relevant to hold the Castro regime, but just, more going backwards with Cuba. The Chinese Communist Party poses a real threat. All right. I think I'm good with Pompeo for now. It's like it's not totally clear what I'm supposed to be finding about Pompeo. So I we'll come back to that. Let's maybe open some phone lines a little bit. I do want to say thank you to the 8 additional Twitch subscribers who just signed up, putting us at 102, and huge membership dumps happening on the website. Hans Torgerson has signed up at joinpacman.com. Benjamin Badu, Michael Magaro, and Guy Moore have all signed up, putting us at 106. So let's speak to a couple of people. I'm going to get logged into my own Discord as the resignations just keep coming. Chad Wolf, acting Secretary of Homeland Security, just resigned. DavidPacman.com/Discord if you would like to speak to me. You can get into what is called the waiting lobby, and I will call on a few people. Not going to do a ton of it today, but we will do some. We've just got a very, very busy week here at the show. And just a reminder, putting parentheses on your name so that you go to the top of the list, it doesn't work. It's just a cheap tactic. So I literally skip over those. If you do parentheses, I know what you're trying to do, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Let's go to Eitan from Boston to kick things off today. Eitan, what's going on?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi, David. I'm a big
Yes.
fan.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call. So I just kind of started listening to your stream today. I just wanted to get, because I may have missed it, but what are your views exactly on Trump denying humanitarian aid to Yemen just now? What are your takes?
Eitan, with peace and love, you're cutting in and out. It's going from fine to sounding disastrous where I can't hear anything.
Sorry. So what are your views on Trump denying humanitarian aid to Yemen just now?
I haven't seen that yet. That's news to me. I would have to look at that.
Okay.
I've been streaming, so I just didn't come across that yet.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, thanks for taking my call. Good luck, David. I love your show.
All right. Are you from Israel, Eitan?
I'm Jewish, but I'm not from Israel.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. There is Eitan from Boston. Very, very strong first caller, as everybody can tell. Let's go next to Frankie from Indiana. Frankie from Indiana, you're on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi. Okay. So big fan. I've just discovered your show a couple weeks ago. So
Thank you.
I like what you're doing.
Pleasure.
So I guess my question is, looking at Biden's future presidency, there's a lot of promises that or maybe not promises, but there's a lot of stuff he said that he'd want to do.
Sure.
So he wants to fix the justice system. He talks about medical marijuana and making it legal. He talks about immigration. He talks about DACA and all that. Me being a DACA recipient. So I guess a question I have is, what do you think should be the things that he should prioritize to try and pass or to pass in his presidency to kind of show people that, he is a president that keeps his promises and then obviously gets himself probably reelected in 2024.
So you've got to you have to divide it into things Biden can do by executive order and things that he cannot. So first of all, everything he's promised or even elements of it that can be done by executive order has to be done right away. First 2 weeks, first 3 weeks, right? Put it together and go ahead and do it. As far as the big legislative things, Greens, I know he's not Biden is not Green New Deal, but he took elements of Green New Deal into his infrastructure and clean energy plan. Do what I'm calling green infrastructure plan. Must do it. It's economically stimulative. It's good for the environment, and it's good for it's good in all ways. It's good in so many ways. So that's got to be a priority. Making his healthcare promises a reality has to be a priority. Third stimulus must be a priority. He just said last week, if we get these 2 seats, then we're getting $2,000 checks and another stimulus. Got to do it. Promises on vaccine must be done because nothing's going back to normal until we get people vaccinated. Fixing DACA needs to be near the top of the list because it's been so acutely destroyed and messed up by Trump. But a lot of that he can do via executive order. So, it's a very long list. And the first thing is to figure out which things can he do unilaterally and what does he have to do via legislation. Those are going to be longer processes.
Because I can definitely see, let's say, in 2023, when re-election talks start to come back up, people like conservatives or people who are a lot more progressive than just Democrats are now, using the stuff he didn't or he wasn't able to do against him and be like, well, we probably shouldn't get him again because he's getting old and he didn't, let's say, for example, he didn't pass some sort of Green New Deal thing or some sort of immigration thing. They'll just use it against it. So I think it's probably this is going to be, even though I'm glad he's, going to be president / is president, I feel like it's going to be really, really difficult for him in these 4 yeers.
Well, listen, if he can't get anything done with a Democratic House and Senate, then he's in real trouble. Now Democrats have taken everything. Great. I think they get crushed in the midterms unless there are some accomplishments to point to between now and 2022. There's no doubt about it. It's unquestionable. And when you say, hey, people might hold him accountable for the promises he made, good. That's how it's supposed to work. I look forward to that.
Yep. I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially because, since one of the things that people talked about is how, even though, because you know how a lot of people thought that the Democrats would retain and win a lot more seats in Congress, but they ended up losing seats.
Yep.
I think that, just like how you said, that's a really scary thing that could happen, where if they don't start passing things like even Congress people have promised,
right,
then it might just flip over back to being, let's say, 50-50, where, you're probably not going to be secured to have your Senate seat or your Congress seat for either party.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. Thank you for the call.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure. All right. Very, very good. Okay, let's go next to, why don't we speak? There's a lot of people holding right now. I just want to be upfront that the number of people holding exceeds the number of people I'm going to talk to by probably 10x right now. So just so everybody kind of knows what's going on. Let's go next to Victoria from Texas. Victoria from Texas, you're on the air. Victoria from Texas, please unmute. You're on the air. Would love to hear from you. And last opportunity. Yes, Victoria, you're on the air.
Hi. Oh my God. I'm actually here.
You're here. We're all here together.
Okay, so my question is about the impeachment process.
Yes.
Hopefully we already know that the Democrats are probably going to like push it forward in the House, but all it is really now is about the Republicans. So
yes.
Is there like a really good chance that he could be impeached because of what happened at the Capitol?
You mean convicted by the Senate?
Sorry. Oh my God, I'm nervous.
So listen, this is fine. This is a good opportunity, Victoria. So it seems almost a foregone conclusion that Democrats have the votes in the House to impeach. But remember, that starts a trial in the Senate, and then the Senate votes on whether to convict.
Yeah. In the Senate, to convict, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer as to whether there would be votes to convict in the Senate yet. I think we're going to need to figure that out. And in particular, if the trial doesn't happen after Biden's first 100 days, I have a hard time imagining that you're going to get 10 Republicans to say, yeah, let's convict. I don't know.
Yeah, because the Republicans, even though what happened, they're still like, I feel like they're still firm on Trump. Like they don't want to let go. Like they
many of them are
at last minute.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. But let's take it a step at a time, Victoria. Let's first see if the impeachment happens Wednesday morning when they're going to vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Oh my God. I wanted to talk to you. So yeah.
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. Victoria's gone. Very, very nice. Okay. Let's go next to... let's go to Tim from Scotland. Tim from Scotland, you're on the air.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, really good to talk to you. I've been listening for, quite a few years now.
My pleasure.
I'm going to really disappoint the vast majority of your American audience because I'm actually not Scottish. So
I could tell right away. I was about to say you lack a Scottish accent acutely.
Yeah. I'm from the southwest of England, but I fled up here for uni a few years ago.
We will still allow it.
Yeah, good stuff. I have two questions. We can do both or one, whatever. The first one was about the Capitol attack.
Yes.
Riot, insurrection, whatever. The authorities, as far as I can see, are still claiming that there was no intel in preceding the event would indicate that something like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you actually just look online and look on Twitter at the people who do investigative reporting, that's just not true.
It's obviously not true. Yeah, there was plenty of reason. Yeah.
Or they're completely incompetent.
Exactly. Or both.
or probably both.
Yep, I agree with you completely.
I don't know if you had any more thoughts about that, whether or not we'll ever get any information about investigations, or whether or not they'll just sort of avoid that topic.
I think eventually
a massive lapse of intelligence.
There will be a report put together, but it'll probably take 2 months, and then by then nobody will be talking about the report. The report will be old news. But it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I did clips. We were all saying there's a real possibility for violence, and so the idea that there was no intelligence is nuts.
And I have a question about COVID as well.
Yes, please.
So I don't know how much you're following COVID in the UK, but we're in about as much of a mess as you are in the US.
Yeah.
Our death rate is actually even worse, if you can imagine that. It's pretty horrific. What is interesting though is that I have this sort of idea, and I've had it for the last week or two, that maybe there's some element of trust in government and trust in institutions that's having as much of an impact at this point as the actual legislation or restrictions that are passed themselves. And the reason I think this is because I'm not sure if you know, but in the UK we have devolved governments. So Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own governments that that have power over some parts of governing the country.
Yes.
And so in Scotland here, we have a First Minister who is overwhelmingly popular. I mean, her approval ratings are huge. And Scotland is faring not great, but much better than England, certainly. And one of the theories that have been posited, and I think is probably true, is that the communication from the Scottish government is just infinitely better than from the morons working for Boris Johnson. And I think at this point, people just don't trust Boris Johnson. I mean, I don't think anyone ever trusted Donald Trump. And, once you erode that faith in individuals and in institutions, trying to get people to actually obey you on quite significant limitations of personal freedom, like don't leave your house for anything except shopping, is difficult to do.
It is indeed. I did you have a question on that, or it was just more of a declarative?
I wondered what you thought about the idea that trust might at this point be as important as what legislation or
100%
actually putting in place.
100%, and that will be part of here in the U.S. Joe Biden replacing Trump. Will there be credibility from the federal government on COVID? And I hope the answer is yes.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope. Where vaccine distribution is going okay here, but I think the next few months are going to be super rough.
Yes. And here in the U.S., it's a disaster. Listen, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thanks for all your work. As I said, I've been a big fan for many years, and my partner has just started listening, and I know she's listening right now, so shout out to her as well.
All right, shout out to her. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that really strongly. Let's go next to Rain from New York City. Rain from New York City, you're on the air.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, how's it going, David?
It's going well, I would say.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to ask you about, so I live in NYC, as you saw, and a few hours ago, Cuomo tweeted something that just kind of really confused me, that he's...
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you completely cut out. Cuomo tweeted something that what?
It really kind of confused me. I posted it in chat. He said, "We simply cannot stay closed until the vaccine hits critical mass. The cost is too high. We will have nothing left to open. We must reopen the economy, but we must do it smartly and safely." And I'm wondering how exactly he would plan on doing that at this moment in time.
That I have no idea. That would be a question for him. I don't know what his plan is.
Well, all right. I just wanted to see if you had a comment on that.
All right. No, I've not seen that, but I would like to see. What his plan is. Rain from New York City. Thank you very much. Let's go next to. I don't know. Let's go to Kiana from Italy. Kiana from Italy. You are on the air.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hello. I'm glad you took my call. I'm actually going to go back to the COVID discussion that the guy from Scotland started.
Sure.
And from what I've heard, and you may correct me on this, I think I've heard that Biden wants to use all the vaccines that he has just to start giving everybody a first dose.
Right.
And Trump, however, his administration, or Trump himself, not quite sure, was actually more interested in keeping some back to be able to guarantee a second dose.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
At this point, because we've learned that the timing on that second dose is a little more flexible than we thought, I'm okay with the Biden idea. We need to do something because at this rate, nothing's going to it's going to take 8 years at this rate.
Absolutely.
So I'm okay with it. And Pfizer has said that they can start adjusting the delivery schedule to better support this idea of just getting the doses out. And one dose is still going to provide immunity in some of the people. It's not going to be 95%, but it'll be in some of the people. There's some evidence that one dose will reduce the risk of serious COVID dramatically. And we just have to start doing it. I think it's the right move. And I think that start scheduling out the second doses. When someone comes in for the first dose, schedule out the next dose and hope to be able to stick to it. But I'm in favor of it. I think it's got to happen.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it too. I'm
Yeah.
very much in favor. I think you just need to start getting them out. I noticed, I live here in Italy, so I noticed that your getting out is just really slow.
Absolutely. Now, where in Italy are you?
I live on Sardinia.
Really?
Island above. Yes.
That sounds I was scheduled to go there, but then COVID,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm really glad you've heard of it because a lot of people haven't.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
always know about Sicily, but there's another island too.
Yeah. And do you live there permanently?
I do now. Yeah, I'm from the States. I'm from
Yeah.
California actually,
Mhm.
but I've lived here for about 20 years.
And what is your sort of like, how did you establish legal permanent residence?
Well, I have legal permanent residence because I married an Italian,
Got it.
but I'm still only have my United States citizenship.
Oh, okay. I understand.
So I vote there. I do everything from the United States, but I can't vote here, for example, in their elections. I'm not a
Right.
citizen of Italy.
Now, do you get used to, I've spent quite a bit of time in different parts of Italy, and one of the things that has been tough for me is that bureaucratically, there is not a sense of urgency to sort of get things done when you just need
Zero.
a paperwork piece, an element of paperwork taken care of. Do you just become accustomed to that?
You just become accustomed to it. And every once in a while, it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But you do just get accustomed to it, unfortunately.
Interesting.
And when I go to the States, when I can, and hopefully soon after this COVID thing, that'll happen, I so appreciate just all the orderly
Interesting.
things
And then
that people say they do. It's wonderful.
in terms of the culture of Sardinia, is it more associated with northern or southern Italy, or is it its own thing?
It's definitely its own thing.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
In the history, Sardinia as the island has been territory of all sorts of different places.
Right.
So Sardinia is very much its own thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's I'm scheduled to go to a wedding in Italy in September, and at this point, it's anybody's guess. It's anybody's
That's
guess.
right.
Yeah. Hopefully, I make
I
it.
can't wait to come back home, to go back home. And at this point, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, listen, you can do it now, but it doesn't seem responsible and it doesn't seem super safe.
No, I'm not going to do it now, man. My parents are older. There would
Yeah.
be there just doesn't make any sense for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
to risk myself or any other person. So I'm not going to do it.
Well, I very much appreciate the call, Kiana.
I thank you very
All
much
right.
for taking my call.
There is Kiana. Oh, sorry. I thought we were done. There is Kiana from Italy. And I very much appreciate that. Okay, let's go to Joshua from Texas. Joshua from Texas, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi. Yeah, so I just had a question. So I'm just going to preface this by saying, I agree private companies can make any decision that they want as far as who's on their platform, what they decide to do, and they can ban anybody for it, whatever reason that they want to.
As long as it doesn't violate, as long as it's not a violation of non-discrimination statutes.
Yeah, and that I completely understand that. But do you think that maybe removing Trump from social media kind of relegates his followers further towards the fringes and increases division in a climate where we're pretty much, I don't know if I've ever seen as much division as we have today? And do you think that maybe these decisions are being made a little bit lightly, in that keeping his bad ideas in the sunlight where they can be challenged a bit more would be a better route?
So I think you are correct that banning Trump from Twitter functionally is divisive and fires up people on his side. I just don't think that that's the way that Twitter should decide whether he has violated terms of service enough times to be suspended, though. I think it's much like with impeachment. There is a responsibility and a duty to impeach if the president has done something impeachable. It'll be divisive, or they can't get it done before Trump leaves, or these are sort of secondary considerations. I think that obviously Trump's behavior on Twitter, if it were not a president, he would have been banned long ago. And I completely agree with your assessment. It is radicalizing people. There are people who are going bonkers now and are much more fired up and planning another insurrection or whatever. You're right. You're right about its impact, but it is also obviously the right decision for Twitter to make. So I can only respect them for doing it. I don't respect them for waiting until, what was it, 12 days before the end, though, because really he warranted removal some time ago.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate you taking my call.
All right. My pleasure. Great to hear from you. Let's go next to David from Florida. David from Florida, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, David, first off, I want to say thanks for taking my call. I've been a long-time listener.
Thank you.
Hey, David, I just want to kind of continue on the conversation around impeachment. You know, you mentioned it's a responsibility of Congress, and I totally agree. You know, they have an oath that they uphold the Constitution, all that. So forget the chatter that folks are saying it's not worth it. So I just kind of want to walk through, picking off what Victoria said, that obviously the House has stated they have the votes to impeach, which goes to the Senate. While I think we both could agree that the Senate won't convict, I also understand through a simple majority,
that's right,
the Senate can approve Trump from being barred from elected office in the future.
Yes.
I want to get your stance on that. And also, furthermore, on the notion that the House may, I forget what amendment it is, censor or remove certain members of Congress through supporting this insurrection.
That last part I've read nothing about, and I wouldn't be able to comment, but you're absolutely correct. The Senate could decide with a simple majority, where in which case, if they had all 50 Democrats, they would just need to find one Republican. They could strip Trump of his, not only is it prevent Trump from running again, but I believe it's also prevent Donald Trump from availing himself of his post-presidential travel funding and a couple of other things. And yes, that is absolutely on the table.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that would be something worth looking into and something that, you know, I think the general public should be more aware of in general.
Absolutely.
I haven't really heard too much more about it. So thanks for that confirmation on that. And lastly, hey, I noticed you updated your graphic. I just want to say, hey, it looks good. I wasn't sure when you did that, though.
Oh, the logo, you mean?
The logo, correct.
Yes, we are doing we're working with a really great fan of the show who has so generously agreed to sort of like make all of our different graphical elements consistent. So we've updated the logo. We're starting to put the logo everywhere. We're unifying the look of everything. Eventually, I'll have a new video behind me as well on my vertical screen. Everything's going to look all the same, it's going to be great.
Cool, man. Looks good. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. Okay, thanks everybody for joining me. That is going to do it for me today. We have a lot of streams coming up today, all the way leading up to and including the inauguration stream. My thought is I will start at about 11 a.m. next Wednesday. The inauguration of Joe Biden scheduled for noon. I will plan to start at about 11 a.m. East, okay? So thanks to everybody for joining me. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. It's free. We are just almost at 1.25 million subscribers. And make sure you are following me on Twitch because we are rapidly approaching 100,000 followers on Twitch. We were at like 60K recently. We're at 75 now. It's unbelievable how quickly this is moving. We're going to do it, and then you know that it's going to happen. All right, so I'll see everybody very soon.